Welcome back to the Super Show. Erich Smith of Golden Valley in the house. Hashtag Bulldog Strong, it says on the shirt, and hashtag great hair. It's a new look. It's a new look for Erich Smith. And his Bulldogs, again.
I got a bright idea. Bleach it blonde, we can go Ric Flair all year.
There we go.
Back to the 80s.
It was a Ric Flair kind of postseason for you last year. Golden Valley makes it all the way to the semifinals of Division III. You came in as the number 12 seed, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. 12 seed, beat number 5 seed Bakersfield Christian?
No.
I'm confusing myself now.
We lost to Hanford at the.
Yeah, you guys.
You lost to Hanford in the semifinals. I'm trying to think who you beat to get there.
Fresno.
Yeah.
We beat Fresno.
Yep. Beat the Warriors on the road.
And
That's
on the
right.
road, which was a
And then
flip flop of the year before.
Right, and then you get a home game in the
Yeah.
quarterfinals, surprisingly, and took care of that as well. So, gosh, coming off of that, what has this year been like differently for you in the preseason? I mean, can the kids can you feel the raised expectations among the kids having tasted that success?
Yeah, but on the flip side of that, we are not the exact same team that finished at the end. We've had a lot of changes, but our core is still there, and so the core kind of know that we want to play late in the season, and that's what was nice is they kind of came in the off-season training programs with that attitude. And it wasn't something that the coaches really had to sell.
Right.
They were already excited. And our core group of seniors are tight-knit. They're fun to work with, and they started putting in the time in January. And as a coach, you can't ask for any more than that.
And obviously the highlight name that everybody knows is Tyler Thompson, your running back coming back. Who are the other guys that the seniors that you're really kind of looking at to be this core that's really kind of lead the Bulldogs once again?
Well, I think we're going to lead on our O-line. We're led by Tadash Kim, or Kenneth Kim is what he goes by, and he's our right tackle. We have a returner coming back at right guard, Jose Meza, and we got a returner at our center, Alberto Salazar, and we're going to kind of lean on them. The left side will be all young underclassmen. And then we have some receivers. We got a great athlete at receiver who can play multiple positions, Davion Thomason, and he's very explosive, exciting to watch. And he'll play slot receiver a lot, probably a little free safety, and maybe even corner at times. And then we have another returning sophomore that came on at the very end, Victor Lopez. And then we have another returning senior at wide receiver, Jordan Brownin, who's just worked really hard, but he had quite a few catches at the end. And having those young men back, that's a positive for us.
Is that a speedy wide receiver group, a big wide receiver group, a little bit of both? How do you characterize?
I would say it's a mixture. We have a few explosive guys, like Davion's very explosive. Mm-hmm. But what I really like is I like their route running, and they're starting to understand where to sit the routes, where to break them off, because we route adjust. So it's a good idea for them to know where the field is and their spacing, and that's something that takes a while to learn. And last thing, for us, you got to block, and they're good blockers, and they look to help their partner get down the field on different things, screens and things like that, and outside flat routes and things. We throw a lot of short routes just for timing, helping the O-line, and so I really feel that them coming together as a group, and then the last thing, you add the hands. If you can catch in traffic, because one thing we know, the kids learned last year, the farther you go in playoffs, the windows get tighter. You're playing better teams, and so the windows tighten up, and you got to be able to catch in traffic.
Well, I think the one guy that I think Zach and I both went, how is that guy still in high school? He's finally graduated, and that's Tyler Waters.
Yes.
thought you were going to say for a second that he was back again. And that was
What? Well, when you look at a guy that did so much for Golden Valley, not only on the football field, but on the basketball field, basketball court, how do you replace him, and who is going to be there to replace him? And obviously at Signal Caller, I mean, I don't know how you replace a leader like Tyler, but, a guy that really kind of bled Bulldog. But who is the next guy up for you at quarterback?
Well, we've had a guy in the shadows the last 2 years. His name's Weldon Colbert, and he's worked really hard in the offseason. And some people say he's just a kind of a copy of Tyler. He's just shorter.
Yep.
He's a thick kid. People come out and they look and they're like, is that? No, it's not the same young man. It's just kind of close. And he's worked really hard. And he's kind of, stayed in the background, ran our scout teams when Tyler was running the first team and things like that. So he's excited. And I think our team's excited because his group of seniors that are returners, his graduation class, they know what he can do. And I was amazed in his off-season throwing program that he did all on his own. And when he came back in, he was hitting routes that we were very impressed with. So we're excited. We're tweaking the offense a little bit. You know, he's not Tyler. Tyler understood a lot of the changes at the line of scrimmage and a little different running package. But that's what's great about it is we are able to flex our offense. Right. We can flex it any way to fit the talent we have.
I was out at practice Golden Valley about 10 days ago and sitting there watching drills, and there's a bad snap, and it goes over Weldon's head, and I thought, okay, that happens, you know, and then 2 or 3 more happened in a row, and I thought, man, this is rough. And it took me a minute to realize that was actually the drill, was to practice what happened when there's a bad snap. I thought, okay, I hope that wasn't the issue that many times in a row. But I think the point is with your offense, it's different than what you see in the central section in a lot of places, and you've done it for years, and you teach the kids, and it's exciting for them to play that way. And I know that's kind of your philosophy too, is make it fun for them.
Yeah, you know, I think that is the number one goal. You know, our motto is we play football one time in high school, and I want that to absolutely be the best experience for young men. You know, actually, this shirt is our school motto. This was developed by our admin, #Bulldog Strong, and we kind of carry that to the football field, obviously, but that's really led by our principal, Hellman. He's the head of our admin, and he really believes in building a culture at our school. And I tell you what, when you build a culture from the top down, it comes to athletics. Not only in the classroom, through all the different programs we've done, now kids start having that feeling that they are Bulldog Strong, and it really carries over. And I have to really thank our principal for that, because he tried to change the whole school, and I think he's doing a wonderful job, and it really has helped our athletics. It fits right in with what we've been trying to instill in our young men. And our guys, they love to play, and we want to make it the best experience. We do practice. We do little things out of the box, you know, kind of like my hair. The kids say, well, Coach, you're always telling us to think different. And we want them to think different. We were practicing a bad snap drill. We were practicing fumble drills because things are going to go wrong in the game. And how you react when it goes wrong is probably going to decide the outcome.
You talk about changing the offensive scheme. How much that is predicated on Tyler Thompson and what he can do as a playmaker for your running back?
Well, and Tyler has options. You know, we see him as a runner, and that's what a lot of people see him. But a lot of people haven't realized he's pretty good coming out of the backfield, too. Right. He's got great hands, you know, and that's going to open up some screen games and all kinds of things. And having him back there for a quarterback who is new, I'm not going to say he's young, but he's new, and getting the under fire, I think Tyler will help him settle down. And the number one thing is, can we protect him? But we're in an interesting standoff because our receivers like, well, wait a minute, we want the ball. And then Tyler's like, well, hold on, I get my carries. But so they're gelling and they're working together, and it's a great problem to have.
Well, and here's the thing is that, you know, every year you're kind of looking for the big marquee names to come out, and you'll see a couple of them. I know once Kieran Scott gets his knee healthy again, he'll be a big one for you. You'll see another one in October, and Jamar Moya, obviously, Richie's got a bunch of good running backs, and Moya kind of leads the way. But where do you see Tyler on this echelon of great running backs in Kern County this year?
Well, I think one thing for him, his number one attribute is he's highly intelligent, and he understands how to read
something
box.
GPA,
yeah,
right?
4.3 GPA, wow. I believe. He got an A-. He was a little upset with himself.
Yeah, what's he doing? That's slacking.
And you know, he
wins sprints.
Yeah, well, he works in himself, you know, and it's like that's one guy we don't worry about grade checks because he's so self-driven, and he really wants to go into engineering when he graduates. So we're looking at that. All schools talking to him. Do you have an engineering program? That's the first thing that happens, because to play football and engineering, it's a tall task, but he's up to it. And he's balanced 3 sports. Tyler gives you kind of all he's not just one explosive. What I would say the little secret to him is he's got a lot more power than what people think. And when you watch his highlight runs, he'll finish them, and that kind of surprises people. And so I think he's one of the best all-around backs. There's so many things we can do with him, and our number one goal is to keep him healthy and get him in the right position to have success.
Let's talk about your schedule a little bit. You open up with Taft. If it's the same thing as the last 3 years, I think, and that's sort of a good. It's a thermometer for where you're at for the season, right?
Yeah, it's been a good test for us. When we've won by 1 point, or we've lost it. They're tight games, and I don't know if it's because it's early, but they come out, and now that they run that double wing, they'll run it right down the throat. They control the ball. They do a lot of things great, and then one thing is you're not going to have many touches. And so, you know, we're looking at that thinking, okay, we really have to make our offensive touches count. Our possessions are going to be key on that. And then it really comes down to first game jitters. How can we control the mistakes? And I hope that we have a lot less mistakes than we had last year.
We talked about this with David Finucci too, but that league is so difficult with Ridgeview and Tehachapi primarily, and then Independence should be improved, and West High traditionally good, East High should be better, and your non-league's important. First of all, you got to get some wins somewhere, and second of all, you better get the confidence and figure out what you're doing before you hit the Ridgeviews and the Tehachapi's, right?
Yeah, and we always say that if you want to get better, you got to play the better teams. Maybe sometimes I may have bitten off more than we can chew a little bit as a Bulldog, but we are playing some tough teams. We're looking forward to going after Centennial. We're going to match up hopefully with them, but they have, they're a bigger team. They'll have a little bit of size on us, but they run kind of a spread offense, so I think that fits. Our league I call it hyper competitive. I think it kind of mirrors Division III. If you look at Division III for playoffs, there's a lot of teams that can rally up at the end, and I think it's a shootout. And, and Hanford's been on top the last couple of years, and they've done a great job with their program. But when you have to play a consistency of Coach Denman up there in Tehachapi, and then the ball is really rolling over at Ridgeview. Ridgeview just looks good across the board.
And I think, Hanford loses an awful lot, but you saw it last year when you made it to the semifinals. That D3 is the consistently most wide-open division in the Central Section playoffs every single year. And I know Hanford dominated it last year, but you got to remember in Week 10, Hanford lost to Lemoore by 30-something points. So it's not like they were necessarily this juggernaut the entire time. And I know that Jawan Hughes came back and all those sorts of things. But point being, if you're in pretty good position coming out of the SYL, you got a shot.
Yeah, and then, we tell our kids you got 10 games to get yourself into the playoffs. It's like a job interview. You got one shot, and you have 10 of them. And we want to be consistency. And one of the program goals that we have is we want to be – it's a reward to go to playoffs. And so we're going to try to play our tougher schedule. And it changes from year to year. Teams are up, teams are down. And I think it prepares us, and I like the way we play tough for teams, and I hope it pays off, and it prepares us for a league that every week you have to suit up.
One last question for you, Eric, and kind of piggybacking on that. This is your 10th year at Golden Valley, and you are one of the longest tenured coaches in Kern County now, especially at one school. And it's kind of surprising. We talked about this when I was out at practice. It happens overnight almost, and you're going, wow, I've been here 10 years. How proud are you of what you've established at Golden Valley? It's not – does not have the look of a traditional powerhouse football program because of some socioeconomic things and some roster size things and those sort of things, but you've been able to build a consistent above average winning team.
Well, I credit the kids. I think the kids buy into what I try to do with them. I say we because I'm very blessed to have Nate Odell and Luis Cervantes who have been with me for 10 years. And it's something that we kind of modeled from Coach Denman up in Tehachapi. You got to have guys that stay with you. And I really think having the consistency in the staff with the type of kids we work with. But our kids are tough. They work hard, and they want to have success. Sometimes they've never achieved it. They don't know quite how to do it. And once you teach them to work and once you teach them to go after those goals and then set an action plan for those goals, it's amazing what a 16-year-old kid can do. And so for me, I take pride in it, but it's really the kids. I think the kids have done it, and we just keep battling, and we always say next man up and get ready to go. So
that's terrific. That's what high school football is all about, and we wish you continued success, Eric, and appreciate you joining us.
Thank you.
All right, we'll be back after this. Michael Gutierrez of Highland as we shift back to the SEYL right after this.